Task 9. Clean house. 1. Get vacuum cleaner out. 2. Fix appropriate attachment. 3. Clean room. 4. Empty the douche bag. 5. Put away everything. In the plan 3, do 3.1 every day. 3.2 once a week. When the visitors are due 3.3. 3.1 clean the hall. 3.2 clean the living room. 3.3 cleaning bedroom. (3.7.3) Exercise 7.3. Figure 7.1 show a textual representation of HTA description of vacuum cleaning, present the same information in a diagram form. Answer. This is given a figure 7.x4. In fact, this used the revised version of Plan 3, but the choice of plan makes no difference to the structure of the diagram. Exercise 7.4 converts to above. Figure 7.6 use an HTA diagram to show the action in which the tractor is involved. Show the same information textually. Answer. 0. Life cycle of tractor. 1. Maintenance. 2. Cultivation. 2.1 Connect implement. 2.1.1 Fix harrow. 2.1.2 Fix plow. 2.2 Drive to field. 2.3 Cultivate 5. 2.4 Drive to seed. 2.5 Put away. Plan 0 as required. 2. When the tractor breaks down. 1. Plan 2 2.1 until 2.2 2.3 2.4 2.5. Plan 2.1 1 of 2.1.1 or 2.1.2 depending on job. Exercise 7.5 observe an office, note the action performed and the object used depending on the available equipment. Use different recording technique as described in the chapter 11. Then use the different task analysis technique to structure your finding. Note this could be group project. Answer. The easiest starting point for the student is simply to go around the office noting down what is there. Typewriter, corrector fluid, desk diary, pen, pencil, scissor, envelope, paper clip, typing paper, post-it note, telephone directory, internal and external, filing cabinet containing folder, clock, wall calendar. This list can be used begin to build both a knowledge base or entity relations description. However, the latter will also require at least a list of actors. In university office, this might include the following: secretary, lecturer, student and undergraduate, research student, research staff, administrator. However, the rules that they take may be not be simple. For example, we might find out the lecturer come into the office to use the typewriter. That is, the lecturer act in the role of typist. Neither of these descriptions can be complete, nor can an HTA begin without a list of activities. This can be obtained in two main ways. First, the student can simply make an unstructured list of all the activities they see and then add structure to it. Alternatively, they can follow specific tasks, noting what is done in the order. In the latter case, they should be encouraged to write the list of activity in purely sequential manner they are observing. Only later will they build upon this hierarchical pedagogical interpretation. It may obviously cause several inconveniences if all the members of a class were to interview the office staff. However, the gain first-hand interview experience some domain expert can be invited into class to talk about their work and be questioned about it. Alternatively, students could make their own note for the prepared video prep interview. If a question of this sort is used as an assessment, then we will suggest that the student had in not just the complete task analysis, but intermediate note and representation. The most important thing in determining the effectiveness of their analysis is the care with which they carry out the original observation and subsequent working. Exercise 7.6. Consider an activity of making a telephone call. Record the action in an HTA diagram or textually. Stop or simply assuming you know the number to dial, but then at a more complicated situation, finding the number in an address book, or what to do when the number is engaged. Answer. As with most this exercise, this is an open-ended question. Here is a simple version with some expansion, but one can look alternatives such as public payphone. 0. Make a phone call. 1. Pick up receiver. 2. Dial number. 3. Wait for reply. 4. Talk. 5. Replace receiver. Plan 0. 1, 2, 3 when answered, 4 when finished, 5. We know at looking up the number, the form is depend on the whether we find the number in the address book or the telephone diary. If both file, say if the call is long distance to someone not in a local directory, the telephone operator must be consulted. If a student have some form of online telephone list, possibly in a palm-top computer, they could include the analysis of the lookup procedure. The next exercise, dictionary lookup, is very similar to looking up a number in a directory, and so further analysis of this branch is not included here. Note that contacting the telephone operator involves making a phone call, but the steps for this are not repeated in full. 0. Make a phone call. 1. Find a number. 1.1. Look at address book. 1.2. Look in phone directory. 1.3. Ask operator. 1.3.1. Pick up receiver. 2. Actually call. 2.1. Pick up receiver. 2.2. Dial number. 2.3. Wait for a reply. 2.4 talk. 2.5 replace a receiver. Plan 0. If number unknown, 1. When number phone, 2. Plan 1. If phoning friend. 1.1. If a local call. 1.2. If a 1.1 or 1.2 file. 1.3. Plan 2. 2.1. 2.2. 2.3. When answered, 2.4. When finished, 2.5. Finally, we added case where the phone is engaged. The simplest way to do this is simple to change plan 2. Plan 2 to 2.1, 2.2, 2.3 if answered, 2.1. Then when finished, 2.5 if engaged, 2.5. However, looking the second line, it might suggest the modify 2.4 to have a two-part. 1. Make a phone call. 2. Actually call. 2.4. Successful call. 2.5.1 talk. 2.5.2 replace receiver. 2.5 valid call. 2.5.1 replace receiver. Plan 2. 2.1, 2.2, 2.3 if answer. 2.4 if engaged. 2.5. Plan 2.4. 2.4 when finished, 2.5. Exercise 7.7. The act of looking up a person in an address book or telephone directory is itself quite complicated. Get several friends to look up words in a dictionary. Observe closely their method. You will probably have to develop shorthand notation to keep track of what pages they visit. Compare the strangers used by the different people. If they differ, try to abstract out the common part of the task and the variable part. Those with the sufficient computing background and can attempt to classify their method in relation to no such algorithm. Binary chop, linear search answer. In order to see the range of possible search strategy, the author asks the subject to look up words in dictionary. One was literate but young child, and the other an erudite English graduate. To obtain any sort of useful record, the subject had to be asked to work slowly, and even to keep track of the search was difficult. We note down to page numbers they pause at, but often search include thumbing through a sequence of pages, at which point same form of specific notation would be useful. As an alternative to noting down the page number, noting the word at the top of the page could be used. Not illegible, it tends to convey that the shooter the dictionary on the its side and the opponent it said the first cut was based on the position of D in the alphabet. Flip back of a shoot to C forward one page beginning of D. Quick skim over page, place finger on word. Adult looking up and the word daltonisms. Right of center, comment by subject on position P in the dictionary 729 O. Gets to page in the middle of O section. Turn over forward 741. Page begin with para words C or key. Subject say answer whether spell with a C or key. Say C look for C first. Scan the finger sequential. Say explain that the presence of the para words made the text confusing. The English graduate was also asked to talk aloud through the exercise. We discussed in chapter 11 the possible effect this might have on the user performance, but it is extremely difficult to keep track of the reader focus on the page otherwise. The note below the titled of the considerably from our handwritten scrawl. The note in italic were added after. Unfortunately, in the typesetting the note, some of spatial layout it lost. They do, however, retain the sharpness of original observation. Use of video can course allow one to replay tasks at a slower rate and thus improve the detail of note taking. The English graduate was asked to find unfamiliar word daltonyms figure 7.x1 and parts close figure 7.x2. The child was asked to look up simpler word dig figure 7.x3 and orange figure 7.x4. The transcript do not include timing. The whole process took no more than 30 seconds. To give an idea relative timing, whereas the English graduate home quickly onto the correct page. This took the child somewhat longer, but when they were on the right page, but were so quickly quick that it's hard to give a judgment on relative speed. From this evidence about the best general description we could have is 525 near middle of book, for 427-29 this first page were quite rapid. 297 the page volumes. 266 correct page lock. Scan done up. Sequential search item by item. 236 last page of C. 266 flick forward. Too fast to not page over. 800 overshoot. 800 flick back to 700. 690 19 690 start of O. Sequential page 703 flick forward page by page 717 right page sequential search stroke page. Zero, look up a word in dictionary. 1. Find a right page. 2. Find a word on page. Plan 0, 1, 2. The performance of subtext was 1 was far more efficient for adults, as she used a heuristic to find the approximate position based on her knowledge of the alphabet. The child knew the relative position of words in the alphabet, but not enough to be able to say P. It's just after the middle as the adult did. The different subtext too was less marked, but mainly because it was too rapid to annotate. There was some evidence that the adult used a more direct method than the child, who simple but quickly scanned the page entry by entry. If individual students observe more subject, or as they come together to make notes, they may be able to abstract more specific, but still general search strategies. For example, they may see something asking to binary chop. They should not look for a single strategy used by all people, but instead look for a small set of strategies, and then look for a way of telling how people choose one strategy or another. Really, to observation as described above is only sufficient for a pilot study in order to sharpen of thinking. Looking at the notes may suggest shorthand. For instance, a row to represent different kind of scanning. It also prompts one to ask question: what happen if when they scan the page a step 2, the subject discover that they are still on the wrong page? Presumably, this lead to a new find the right page step. However, the subtask essentially a find correction will be very different from original search. 0. Look up a word in the dictionary. 1. Find the right page. 2. Find a word on the page. 3. Adjust page. Plan 0, 1, 2. If still wrong page 3, 2. However, unlike the first HTA, this one not based on observation, but on the author's imagination. Give such refined expectation, the student ought to return to observation in order to explore further. Perhaps they could deliberately choose the page boundaries in order to confuse the subject. Alternatively, they could ask the subject, what would you do if you got the wrong page? You should emphasize the student the difference between a psychological experiment in problem solving and task analysis of observation. For the former, we will be simple trying to verify to our guess or theory. For the latter, we might have idea, but our observation should be open-ended as we want to find out what really happened, whether it or not it agree with our theories. Although the question is clearly oriented toward procedural analysis, one could also do some form of knowledge-based analysis. Clearly, concepts such as positioning in the alphabet and word of the top of the page are important. Indeed, if we were designing an electronic dictionary, such concept may be more useful than emulating paper. Indeed, one could extend this question into a design exercise: how to design the electronic dictionary, assuming that we are that Indeed, one could extend this question into the design exercise: how to design the electronic dictionary, assuming that we are not interested in a totally automatic lookup. How would we design the interaction, where in a book one normal action to turn over one page backward or forward? In dictionary lookup, one jump into the middle, turn on several pages at a time, and flick through a page at a high speed. This can emphasize that question, like how do we design an electronic book, cannot be answered until we know for what purpose that book is to be used.